choose you. So many decisions that you have to make. Confusing, overwhelming, scared you'll make a mistake. Second guessing yourself, trying to see what you do. Whatever you decide, be sure to choose you. Life is to be lived, lessons to be learned. Give yourself a little credit. Collect what you've earned. Empower yourself. Take a mental break too. Wherever you go, be sure to choose you. You matter. You're worth it. What I say is true. In the end, you're gonna win, but you got to choose you. Hello, all, and welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to Choose You Talk Show. Today's show is about depression. As you know, we go over different topic matters of mental health. So today's topic is depression. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. Depression is the feeling of severe despondency or dejection. Self-doubt creeps in, and that swiftly turns to depression. Synonyms for depression are misery, melancholy, sadness, sorrow, unhappiness, woe, and gloom. Everyone feels sad or low at some time, but those feelings usually pass, with a little time. Not a long, elongated time, pass by shortly. Depression, also called major depressive disorder or clinical depression, is different. It can cause severe symptoms that affect how you feel, think, and handle daily activities, such as sleeping, eating, or working. It is an illness that can affect anyone, no matter your age, race, sex, income, culture, or education. Research suggests that genetic, biological, environmental, and psychological factors play a role in depression. Depression may occur with other medical disorders and other illnesses such as diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and chronic pain. Depression can make these conditions worse and vice versa. Sometimes medication taken for those illnesses cause side effects that contribute to those depression symptoms. Today we're going to talk about two different forms of depression: major depression, and persistent depressive disorder, which often includes less severe symptoms of depression that last much longer, typically for about 2 years. So you ask, what are the signs of depression? Well, they are persistent sadness, anxiousness, or empty feelings of hopelessness or pessimism, irritability, frustration, restlessness, guilt, worthlessness, helplessness, loss of interest in pleasure or in hobbies or activities, decreased energy, fatigued, or being slowed down. It could even be difficulty concentrating, difficulty remembering things, difficulty in making decisions. Those are all symptoms of depression. Other symptoms are difficulty sleeping, early morning awakening, or oversleeping. Changes in appetite or unplanned weight changes, whether you lose too much or you gain too much, any unplanned weight changes. Aches and pains, headaches, cramps, digestive problems without a clear physical cause that does not ease with treatment. And lastly, but not least at all, suicide attempts or thoughts of death or suicide. I'll be sure to place up the hotline number before we go to commercial so that you can see if you or someone that you know are suffering from any of these symptoms or have any type of depression. Feel free to call these numbers, these hotlines, and get them help. I do not provide clinical help. I am not licensed in any arena of the medical field. I am just your advocate for support. Get you some help. Get your loved one some help. Get your friend some help. Get that stranger some help. It's okay to get help. We're going to go with 10 real life quotes. And I'm going to read the quote, but I'm going to add it a little bit because sometimes that helps to break down the stressors in the conversation. A lot of times, you may meet someone or see someone who you think is depressed or going through depression, and they'll tell you that they are not. Or they'll tell you you misread them, or they're fine, or they'll laugh it off. You have to think about all the stigma that goes with getting mental health assistance. If they feel that in any way their character would be swayed because they get mental health, they are likely to not get it. But it's okay. If you need it, get it. Number 1, there are wounds that never show on the body that are deeper and more hurtful than any that bleeds. Yes. So depression is more painful than an open sore. Number 2, some people suffer in silence. Pain in the hearts, but smiles on their faces. So true. Because they don't want people to know what they're going through. Every man has secret sorrows which the world knows not. And oftentimes we call a cold man when he is only sad. We don't know what he's been through. And he's put up guards and walls because he doesn't want you to get to know the inner him. He doesn't want you to get close to him. So where you're worried about how cold he is, you don't know how hurt he is. It is very hard to explain to people who have never known serious depression or anxiety the sheer continuous intensity of it. There is no off switch. You can't turn it on and off. If you could, they would. This is not anything anybody wants to deal with. Like they said, it's more painful than an open sore. It makes you be alone. It puts you up on your guards. You suffer alone. You suffer in silence. No one to talk to. If they could turn it off, they would. But they can't. Depression is like war. You either win or die trying. And that's true. Because you're going to fight it to the end. But don't, no matter what, don't give up the fight. Don't give up the fight. 6, depression instead is a flat, hollow, and unendurable. It is also tiresome. It drains you. It takes your energy. It leaves you lifeless. Number 7, you're allowed to feel messed up inside and out. It does not mean you're defective. It just means you're human. Several people go through it. Just because they don't admit to it doesn't mean they don't go through it. A lot of times it's secret. A lot of times they're ashamed. They won't tell anybody because they don't want anybody looking at them. Number 8, I think the saddest people always try their hardest to make people happy because they know how it feels to be absolutely worthless and they don't want anybody else to feel like that. That's true. I've run into several people who have gone through depression who go over and beyond to try to make sure everybody's happy, everybody's in a good spot, everybody, because they've spent so much time hurt and alone or in pain, and they don't want anyone else to feel what they've gone through. So they strive their best to make everyone else feel like they're in a better place, to make everyone else's situation better. A lot of folks that are telling the jokes and laughing out loud and doing the most outrageous gestures are those who go home alone at night and cry themselves to sleep, who feel the most pain. That's why you should be kind to everybody, because you never know what anybody's going through. Number 9, depression is the most unpleasant thing I have ever experienced. It's the absence of being able to emphasize that you will ever be cheerful again. The absence of hope. Could you imagine being hopeless? Could you imagine not knowing your next emotion, what's going to happen next? Not ever thinking tomorrow's going to be a better day. You just melodram all the way through. I mean, of course, we talk a good talk. We talk a good talk. Oh, I don't know if such and such. I don't know if I go through that. I don't know. You don't know if you've never been through it. You don't know. If you haven't been through it or been close to someone that has, it's hard to say what you do. It's hard to say what would happen or how you feel if you've never experienced it. So think about that. Put yourselves in their shoes. What would you do if it were you? Even the song says, my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus Christ's righteousness. But what if you don't have hope? What do you have if you don't have hope? So when they're going through depression, there is no hope. There is no forward looking. There is no insight into tomorrow. What happens then? What do you go for then? What do you look at then? What happens now? I just told you it was worse than the pain of an open sore. How do you handle that in your mindset? How do you handle that? What do you do next? If it were you, what would you do? Number 10, whether an illness affects your heart, your arm, your brain, it's still an illness. And there shouldn't be any distinction. We would never tell someone with a broken leg that they should stop wallowing and get it together. We don't consider taking medication for an ear infection something to be ashamed of. We shouldn't treat medical conditions any differently. Instead, we should make it clear that getting help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. And we should ensure that people can get the treatment that they need. So my question to you, and I know we can't give them the help they need, but could you not point them in the direction they should go? Could you not be a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, an arm to hug, give them something to push them on to that next level? Again, I don't provide any medical, clinical, none of that. I'm just a support system. I'm just an advocate for mental health. But my plight is, let's all be advocates for mental health. Because if we make it the norm, no one will be ashamed to get help. And the stigma in our community is they don't want the help. They're ashamed of the help. They're afraid of the help. But if we rally together and become that support infrastructure, then the folks who need it can get what they need without any question, without being shamed, without feeling guilty, without being embarrassed. Wouldn't that be great? If you know someone who needs help in this community or across the United States, please, please, please be sure to give them this information. Prevention Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. The U.S. Department of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, 1-800-950-NAMI. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, 1-800-662-4357, 1-800-662-HELP. Help. DP Enterprises, the home of Fix It Dell. Do you need help finding a job or assistance with online production? Do you want a song written? Are you in need of private security? Would you like some personalized poetry or even a 501c3 created? If so, call Fix It Dell at 901-440-0335. Choose you. So many decisions that you have to make. Confusing, overwhelming, scared you'll make a mistake. Second guessing yourself, trying to see what to do. Whatever you decide, be sure to choose you. Life is to be lived, lessons to be learned. Give yourself a little credit. Collect what you've earned. Empower yourself. Take a mental break too. Wherever you go, be sure to choose you. You matter. You're worth it. What I say is true. In the end, you're gonna win, but you got to choose you. Science Child is an organization dedicated to the enlightening of girls from ages 7 to 17 in handling issues with anger, aggression, and bullying. Our mission is to infiltrate schools, churches, and communities with the message of anti-bullying and create awareness about the lasting effects of aggression and bullying. If you are interested, or you know a girl from ages 7 to 17 that may be interested and benefit from this program, please contact us at www.sciencechild.org. Again, that's www.sciencechild.org. And as always, I end one of our topic matters with a Bible verse. And I got a call as I was preparing this show from one of my former mentees. And she asked what the topic was, what I was working on. And I was glad to explain to her that it was depression. And she'd gone through depression. And she was willing to share with me that a Bible verse that she carries with her was Isaiah 41:10. So, of course, I decided to use that one to end the show with. So, Isaiah 41:10 reads, "Fear not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea. I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." Amen. Isn't that just beautiful to know that no matter what's going on or what you're going through, that God's got your back? He just said it. He just said it. He with you. You ain't got to be scared. You ain't got to be disgruntled. He with you. And his right hand of righteousness is above the law. It's better than anything you could imagine. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Not merely his essence or his power. God is everywhere. God is omnipresent. But just to know that his providence in having the support, the persevering, the observing, the ordering, the overruling of all things, but with a special grace just from God. And that grace is given to you to guard and protect you, to support you and supply you with your needs, to comfort and strengthen your heart. It says, "Wherefore they need not to fear any of their enemies, nor whatsoever they may be called to suffer in his name's sake. Even though they pass through fire and water, and the valley of the shadow of death, be not dismayed. I am thy God." Now, if he's your God, you have nothing to worry about. He's going to take care of you. He just said it in his word. Through Christ in a covenant way, as appeared by the effectual calling of them, and therefore might depend on his love, be sure of his power, expect all needful supplies, and to be comfortably carried through every service and trial that they're called into, and need fear no enemies, or be dismayed at anything that shall befall them, or become weak as water, and their hearts melt like wax within them. Be not broken in spirit. You don't have to worry. You don't have to fret. The word signifies to look about as persons in distress and be amazed. God will give you strength. Will strengthen our souls to perform duties, exercise grace, withstand corruptions, resist temptations, bear afflictions, suffer persecutions, and do their generational work according to his will. And if God is the strength of his people, they need not be afraid of any persons or thing. Thus the yea, I will help thee. He has your back. He got you. God's got you. God got you. It says to help them out of their afflictions and temptations, out of the hand of their enemies, help them in discharge of duty, in the exercise of grace, in the bearing of the cross, in the fighting of the Lord's battles, and in the journey to another world. Help them to every mercy, temporal and spiritual, to all needful supplies of grace, and at last to glory, whose help is suitable and seasonable and may be expected, since he is able to help either with or without means. God has promised to help his people as here, and he is faithful that he has promised. He has laid help on the one that is mighty and set up a throne of grace to come to for those in the time of need. And seeing he is the helper, that they need not fear what man or devils can do to them. I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. That's what God said. So either by his almighty power or by his sons, the man of his right hand made strong for himself the author of righteousness to his people, not merely in just a regular way, but in a way of special grace. In a way of special grace. God has shown you throughout history, throughout the Bible, that he has his people. And of his powerful protection and preservation of them, so as that they shall stand in his grace, go in his ways, and not fall finally and totally, but persevere to the end through their trials and temptations. Again, he just said it in his word. He's offering help. He got you. And if you need help, that's what he created the doctors for. That's what he made them for, to be of help. If you need help, reach out, get you some help. It's okay. It is perfectly fine. It is perfectly fine. I mean, we are so sometimes consumed with what other people say, think, and feel that we neglect our own. We would neglect ourselves. But if God thought enough of you to choose you, why wouldn't you choose you? Choose you. Choose you. You matter. You're worth it. And what I say is true. In the end, you are going to win, but you have to choose you. Choose you. So many decisions that you have to make. Confusing, overwhelming, scared you'll make a mistake. Second guessing yourself, trying to see what you do. Whatever you decide, be sure to choose you. Life is to be lived, lessons to be learned. Give yourself a little credit. Collect what you've earned. Empower yourself. Take a mental break too. Wherever you go, be sure to choose you. You matter. You're worth it. What I say is true. In the end, you're gonna win, but you got to choose you.